Show. Turn up your mind.
Moments ago, standing together with her wife Sherelle in the Oval Office, I spoke with Brittney Griner. She's safe. She's on a plane. She's on her way home. After months of being unjustly detained in Russia, held under intolerable circumstances, Brittney will soon be back in the arms of her loved ones, and she should have been there all along. This is a day we've worked toward for a long time. We never stopped pushing for her release. It took painstaking and intense negotiations, and I want to thank all the hard-working public servants across my administration who worked tirelessly to secure her release. I also want to thank the UAE for helping us facilitate Brittney's return, because that's where she landed. These past few months have been hell for Brittney and for Charlie and her entire family and all her teammates back home. People all across the country have learned about Brittney's story, advocated for her release, stood with her throughout this terrible ordeal. And I know that support meant a lot to her family. I'm glad to be able to say that Brittney's in good spirits. She's relieved to finally be heading home. And the fact remains that she's lost months of her life, experienced a needless trauma, and she deserves space, privacy, and time with her loved ones to recover and heal from her time being wrongfully detained.
I'll be home for Christmas. That's great news. I am so happy that Russia is now free of the scourge of cannabis oil. They never have to, deal or look again. So this is good. Brittney Griner is finally free to spend Christmas with her loved ones, and Russia is protected from the scourge of vaping or some such crap. I mean, this is unbelievable. Is cannabis oil illegal anywhere outside of a few backward autocratic nations like Russia and North Korea and several U.S. Bible Belt states? I don't know. But, she actually had to go to a penal colony, which, just sounds delicious, doesn't it? A penal colony for doing something that wouldn't even get you kicked out of a Starbucks, okay, in most of the United States. However, if you smoke a cigarette in most Starbucks, you will get kicked out. Yes, you will. And, she won't be bothered, anymore if she vapes cannabis oil in a Starbucks, although they will keep a close eye on her because she's very, very black is what it is. So there you have it. And people are already complaining. I swear to God, they started complaining almost instantly. First, people were complaining, Biden didn't get Brittney Griner out of Russia. Biden didn't get Brittney Griner out of Russia. And then Biden gets Brittney Griner out of Russia, and they bitch that they don't like the trade. They didn't like that we gave Victor Bout an arms dealer in exchange for listen, there's never an egg timer around when you need one, but there's always going to be, no matter what you do, no matter how successful Joe Biden is, there are going to be people that go, but he mangled Sherelle's name. Yes, he mangled Sherelle's name, okay? But he got the rescue right, and he got Brittney Griner out of freaking Russia. She's going to San Antonio for a health check. Sherelle will meet her there, and everybody's happy except for complainers and miscreants and, depressed human beings. I swear. And I'm telling you right now that the reason why the right wing didn't like Brittney Griner is because one time, I believe, during an NBA game when they were playing the national anthem, I think she took a knee once. I think she did. And because of that, Donald Trump would have been happy to see her go to a penal colony. Happy. In fact, I think Donald Trump would trade Colin Kaepernick for a chance to build the Trump Tower Moscow. And he would probably put them in penal colonies in the United States if he could. So could we not, complain so much? Can we just not do that? I mean, it's a great story. She's home for Christmas. Yes, I understand that Paul Whelan is still being held, but this is not, and so is Mark Vogel. Although I bet you no one in this audience, besides for, a few Russia files or a few people who really, really love freedom, know who Mark Vogel is. Okay, I just want to let you know that the complaining is going to come from some of the most, negative people on the planet. However, however, Paul Whelan is still being held in Russia because Paul Whelan, the Russians consider wrongly to be a spy, right? And they want a Russian spy in exchange for Paul Whelan. You know what the problem is with that? We don't have any Russian spies in our inventory, in our prison inventory. Not one. And therein lies the dilemma about Paul Whelan. But I will say his family, Brittney Griner, Sherelle, these Mark Vogel's family, these people have so much dignity and poise, so much kindness and love in their hearts and minds that you're going to have to just crowd out the ugly ones today and just take your victories where you can. Today was either the Russians said we could have one American or none. One or none. They were not willing to discuss Paul Whelan unless and until we provided them with a Russian spy in a prison, okay? And we don't have in our vast prison inventory, which is America, we don't have any Russian spies. So I will tell you that what they have asked for, going back to, this is from July 29th of 2022, the reporting from Natasha Bertrand and Frederick Fletkin over at CNN was that the Russian government wanted a former colonel from the domestic spy agency in Russia who was convicted of murder, but not here. Not here. He was convicted of murder in Germany. He's an assassin, okay? And he murdered some Chechen and got caught in Germany. They tried him, they convicted him, and he is in jail for the rest of his life for the murder of a former Chechen fighter named Zelimkin Torniki Kanglashvili. Okay? And he's in jail in Berlin. And so we have no say over who's in jail in Berlin. We can't go to the German chancellor and say to him, and yes, it's a him now. We can't go to him and say to him, okay, we want an American that the Russians consider a spy, and they want this colonel that you prosecuted and found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison in your German prison in Berlin. We would like for you to give him to Russia for us. It doesn't happen like that, okay? He's in German custody. Now, what I understand from the reporting, obviously I have no back channels. I don't know anybody that works in Intel or the State Department or well, I think I know one person who works at the State Department. Okay, but that's about it. And so the reporting is that the Biden administration wanted to get both Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan back to the United States. And so the United States made what they call quiet inquiries to the Germans about whether or not they might be willing to include this assassin of Chechen fighters in Germany, whether they might include Krasikov in the trade. Okay, this is the guy that they have in jail. And a senior government source was the source for CNN's story. And it was just a non-starter. They never, it never got elevated to the top of the German government. It never got elevated to what would be the German State Department, right? And so that is what the holdup is with Paul Whelan. So Brittney Griner, they were willing to trade for Victor Bout. Now, the thing about Victor Bout, he was sentenced to 25 years for a conspiracy to sell weapons to FARC, the Colombian, FARC. And the DEA impersonated Colombian drug lords, and that's how they caught him. They caught him in, Bangkok, Thailand. And one of the things he said to the undercover DEA guy was that these weapons that I'm willing to sell to FARC to you could kill an American pilot. And that's how they got him on a conspiracy charge.